Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MOGIBETH, and for those of y'all who are new here, I own a six-figure reselling business selling women's clothing on places like Poshmark and eBay. As a reseller, I'm always thinking 3 months in advance when I'm sourcing inventory to sell. And so since we are in the middle of July, I am thinking about the fall and winter time. And so this video is all about 10 BOLO brands for the fall and winter. And for those of y'all who don't know, BOLO stands for Be on the Lookout. I'm thinking jackets, coats, sweaters, boots, obviously brands like Sorel, the North Face, and more expensive brands like Canada Goose and Montclair. But those are the more obvious ones. I wanted to talk about some that are a little less obvious in today's video. And of course, all of these brands are great ones to be on the lookout for all year round. But as a reseller, one of our biggest resource constraints is time. So you want to manage your time effectively. And so that's why when I'm in the thrift store and say I only have 30 minutes in April, I probably won't prioritize the coats and jackets section. But in June, July, August, I will. And this is also a really good time to go to those sections because regular shoppers in the thrift store are probably not going through the sweaters and coats because it's so hot outside. But again, pick up boots, sweaters, and coats year round because they do sell year round, but I just always like to source as effectively and efficiently as possible. This video is going to be really similar to my daily BOLO brands. I'm going to share with you the brand, a little bit about the brand, the approximate average resale value, and a photo of the tag. And if you don't already follow me on Instagram, make sure you do so because in my stories, I am sharing a daily BOLO brand every day, Monday through Friday. And then in our weekly newsletter that goes out on Friday, I share the full week's brands. And then for anyone who has purchased our course, you have access to the full catalog of these daily BOLO brands. But anyways, today we're talking about 10 fall and winter BOLO brands, so let's jump into it. The first brand is 360 Cashmere. This is a family-owned brand started by Leslie and Bruce Gifford alongside their children, Andrew and Alex, and they started out in 2009. The approximate average resale value of this brand is $54.53. And what really sells well by this brand, you could guess, is cashmere. They specialize in cashmere knitwear. But what sells especially well within their cashmere pieces is their intarsia cashmere. And if y'all aren't familiar with the term intarsia, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly, it's basically a knitting technique used to create patterns with different colors that appeared as though they're inlaid together. And it does take quite a bit of technical expertise. And so those types of sweaters tend to be in higher demand, tend to be a little bit more expensive. And so, for example, with this brand 360 Cashmere, they have a style of sweater with skulls patterned throughout or a single skull knitted within their sweater that used to sell for a ton of money, and now it still performs pretty well. So this is just something to keep in mind when you are sourcing this brand and other brands as well. Okay, so the next brand is, and I'm gonna try to pronounce this right, Apparis, something like that, or if you just want to spell it out, it's like Apparis. But this brand was started by two friends, Amélie Brick and Lauren Nucci. After they witnessed the impact of fashion's unethical practices, they both quit their job at different luxury fashion brands and then started this one. And this brand really specializes in outerwear and specifically in faux fur outerwear. The approximate average sales price of this brand is $68.67. And what sells especially well is what they specialize in, which is their outerwear and their faux fur outerwear. Puffer coats can also do well, and I've sold a puffer coat before that performed well and sold fairly quickly. So definitely keep your eye out for this brand when you're going through the coat section. Okay. The next brand is Boda Skins, and this was started by Nathan Alexander in Manchester, England, where they really specialize in high quality leather jackets. And this brand has a really high rate of retention. The approximate average resale value is $213.49, which is really great. It's really hard to find a style, honestly, that doesn't sell well. It's really a consistent performing brand on the resale marketplace. One exception may be their t-shirts, but even their t-shirts, I mean, can perform well as far as t-shirts go. But what really performs best, of course, is their leather jackets, and especially their moto style leather jackets. And so Boda Skins is definitely a brand to know, especially when it comes to leather jackets. And there's another brand on this list later on that is the same way. Okay, so the next brand is Dale of Norway. And this brand has been around for a long time. It's the oldest brand on this list by far. It's really more than a brand, it's a textile company that was started in 1879 and was started in, you guessed it, a village or a town called Dale in Norway that has tons of waterfalls. And they used to, I don't know if they still do this, have steamboats that they would put their machines on, and the waterfalls would power those steamboats, and which would power their machines, which I just thought was really cool. But they've been around for so long, and they really obviously have set the benchmark in terms of high quality knitwear. They have a really loyal customer base, and their pieces sell really well on the reseller marketplace because their sweater retails between $200 and $600, but they're really high quality, so people seek after them. And their approximate average sales price is $58.16, which for a brand that's been around that long is a really great ASP. Their sweaters do perform the best. Some of their other accessories, such as hats and so forth, don't perform quite as well. But also, since they've been around for so long, it's important to note that their newer styles perform really well. They can sell in the $100 to $200 range, but their older styles honestly sell well too. They sell in the $40 to $70 range, which is still really great, especially since this is a brand that I think a lot of resellers have a chance of coming across in the thrift store or in the bins. Even if you're not in a city or you're not in a trend conscious area, this is a really good brand to know. Okay, the next brand is Diemme. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's an Italian shoe wear brand that really specializes in boots and sneakers. And they make all of their shoes in One de Fonte. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm so sorry, but it's a small town in northeastern Italy. While they do boots and sneakers, those are the two kind of categories within shoes that they really focus on. Their boots are what they're really known for and what really has a high demand on the reseller marketplace. Sneakers can sell between $25 and $35, while their boots often sell for $100 plus, but their approximate average sales price is $92.92, so that's really great ASP. And so I definitely want to include this on this list because the boots are something to really keep an eye out for with this brand. So if you're in the shoe section, you go kind of through the boots, keep an eye out for this brand, Diemme, D-I-E-M-M-E. And if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please correct me in the comments section. Okay, the next brand on this list is one I am obsessed with, and it is Manoogian. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm obsessed with it, but don't know how to pronounce it. And this is a Brooklyn-based designer that launched in 2008, and she really focuses on knitwear. She's really known for her natural material choices. Almost all of her pieces are in neutral colors, and her commitment to sustainable and handcrafted production. So gorgeous, I'm obsessed. The approximate average sales price of this brand is high. It's $145.33. These pieces really retain their value. They retail for a lot, but they also resell for a lot of money as well. A lot of her pieces are oversized, and of course the sweaters sell really well, but also the shoes by this brand do well, the dresses by this brand do well, and the jumpsuits by this brand do well. So if I found this brand in the thrift store, I'd almost definitely pick it up. But if you're doing something more like consignment or retail arbitrage where you're paying up a little bit more, definitely check comps, but this is a solid BOLO brand to know for sure. Okay, the next brand on this list is, like I promised earlier, another leather jacket brand, and this brand is Mackage. I think I've talked about this brand. I know I've talked about it on Instagram a couple of years ago, but I may have talked about it on this YouTube channel, I'm not sure. But this is a Canadian leather brand that was started by Aaron Alfazi and then later Eliza Dahan, I'm sorry, I'm not sure, joined along. And so they're a team that really runs this brand, and their mission is to elevate outerwear with a unique balance between fashion and function. Their approximate average sales price is $139.71, so that's a really solid ASP. And what sells especially well by this brand is their leather jackets and coats, but their puffer coats actually do really well as well because they're a Canadian brand. They really specialize in, keeping warm, and so they're very much known for that. I actually own a leather purse by this brand, but their purses and accessories don't do quite as well as their outerwear. But if you found it at the thrift store, it'd probably be still worth definitely looking up and probably worth getting. But in terms of, paying up, I probably wouldn't do that for their bags or their accessories, but for their outerwear, it would probably be a good idea. Okay, the next on this list is similar to 360 Cashmere. This is another cashmere focused brand called NakedCashmere, and it's also a family-run business. It was started by Leslie and Bruce Gifford and their family, and they really only sell online. They want to reduce their carbon footprint a lot and focus a lot on sustainability and the environmental impact of their production and their practices. When I was reading that on the website, that was definitely something that they repeated over and over and over again and seemed to be really committed to. The approximate average sales price of this brand is $69.25, so I think that's a good one. And what sells especially well for them right now are their cashmere cardigans, jumpsuits, and matching sets. During COVID, matching sets, especially loungewear and really luxurious ones made out of materials like cashmere, were in super high demand, and I think that's still carrying over into today, and we'll see that especially, I think, in this upcoming fall and winter period. But typically with these types of brands, if they experiment outside of their wheelhouse, it typically doesn't perform that well on the reseller marketplace. So for instance, with this brand, when they're selling things like slippers and hats that don't have any cashmere in them, they typically don't perform that well on places like Poshmark and eBay. So something to just keep in mind. Their t-shirts, again, are not going to perform around the $70 range at all, but they do outperform an average t-shirt. So something to just think about depending on what your cost of goods is. Okay, the next brand on this list is one that I really learned about because I've been selling it for the past year or so, and it is the brand, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Pajar? I'm not entirely sure, but it's another Canadian brand that was founded in 1963. It's another family-owned brand that's been around for 5 generations and really specializes in footwear and outerwear that really perform well during the winter months. It has an approximate average sales price of $53.18. They're really known for their winter boots, and they perform well, especially if they're mid-calf or to knee height, and especially if they include something like faux fur or sherpa. Since they've been around for a while, it is important to note that the newer styles are going to perform a lot better than the older styles on average. Another thing to note is that their outerwear actually does really well, especially their down-filled puffer jackets. So this is definitely a brand that you're going to want to keep an eye out for, both in the shoe section and in the coat section. All right, and we're on to our last brand of this list. I hope this has been helpful to y'all thus far. If so, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. But the last one on this list I really like and I'm excited to share with y'all. It is called Perfect Moment. And if you're someone who follows a lot of influencers on Instagram, you may have noticed this brand because it is definitely an Instagram influencer favorite when they're taking pictures on the ski slopes of Aspen or wherever they may be. And it was actually acquired by Jane and Matt Gottschalk, I might be pronouncing that right, in 2011, and since then has really grown a lot. They're a fashion-focused ski wear brand, and they oftentimes include a lot of retro 70s inspired elements. They have ski suits that are much more form-fitting than your average ski suit, which is why I think influencers like them so much. But they have a really high approximate average sales price of $244.14, which is the highest on this list by far, and it's just a really well-performing brand. What performs especially well by them are their ski jumpsuits, coats, and then ski pants. Categories such as leggings, swimsuits, beanies don't perform as well, but if I came across them in the thrift store, I'd probably still pick them up. I mean, they're not in the $250 range, but they're still performing, you know, in the $40 to $60 range, which is great. And then their sweaters are also a really solid staple of the brand that tend to perform well as well. So that is the video, 10 BOLO brands for the fall and winter. Let me know if there are any BOLO brands that you really keep an eye out for going into the next season, which is the most profitable season for resellers. So it's really good to brush up on your knowledge as much as possible now so that you can source for it during July, during August, and then be ready to see an increase in sales during those months. But let me know in the comments down below if there is a brand that wasn't on this list that performs especially well during the fall and winter. All right, well, I'll see y'all in the next one. Thank y'all so much for watching. Love y'all. Bye.